A cold can of soda can feel like one of the simplest things in the world. It might be sitting in a refrigerator door, stacked in a cardboard box, poured over ice at a restaurant, or carried in a paper cup beside a meal. It is familiar enough that most people do not stop to think about it. But inside that can is a small, carefully built system. There is water. There is carbon dioxide gas, held inside the liquid under pressure. There are acids that make the drink taste bright and sharp. There is sugar, or a sugar substitute, depending on the kind of soda. There may be caffeine. There are colorings, flavor molecules, and tiny details of temperature and packaging that change how the drink feels before it ever reaches the stomach. A regular 12-ounce can of soda can contain about 10 teaspoons of sugar. That is not a spoonful placed on top of food, or sugar slowly chewed inside a piece of fruit. It is already dissolved into the liquid, spread evenly through every sip. A 12-ounce can is not very large. It is about the size many people can finish without thinking much about it. That is part of what makes soda so interesting. It is not only a food science story, it is also a body story. It is a chemistry story. It is a pressure story. And for many people, it is a memory story. Soda belongs to movie theaters, fast food counters, road trips, summer coolers, vending machines, birthday parties, and late-night convenience stores glowing softly beside gas pumps. In the United States, sweetened drinks are common enough that researchers study them as part of everyday health patterns. Soda is not some rare treat from a distant place. It is woven into ordinary routines. It appears beside pizza, burgers, popcorn, tacos, fried chicken, sandwiches, and school lunches. It can be bought from a machine, poured from a fountain, carried in a bottle, or opened with a small metal tab. Yet the drink only stays the way people expect, because it is sealed. Before it opens, the inside of the can is under pressure. The carbon dioxide gas has been pushed into the liquid during manufacturing. As long as the container stays closed, much of that gas remains dissolved. It is there, but it is hidden. The liquid looks still. The bubbles are waiting. This is one reason a sealed soda can feel different from an open glass of sweet water. The fizz is not just added decoration. It is part of the drink's structure. It helps shape the sound, the bite on the tongue, the way aroma lifts toward the nose, and the way sweetness feels lighter than it might in a flat syrup. Temperature matters too. Cold liquid holds carbon dioxide better than warm liquid. That is why a chilled soda often tastes brighter, while a warm soda can lose its sparkle more quickly and feel heavier in the mouth. The drink is built to be open cold. It is built to release gas slowly. It is built so sweetness, acid, color, and bubbles arrive together. A soda can is also a piece of engineering. An aluminum can is light, strong, and good at blocking light. It protects the flavor, holds pressure, and can travel long distances from a bottling plant to a warehouse, a store shelf, a cooler, and finally, a hand. The outside looks simple. A logo, a color, a pull tab, a few curved lines of metal. But inside, the drink is waiting in a careful balance. The water is holding gas. The gas is held by pressure. The flavor is held by chemistry. The sweetness is held in solution. And the whole thing stays quiet until one small piece of metal is lifted. That first sound is not just the beginning of a drink. It is the moment the system changes. The seal breaks. The pressure drops. The hidden gas begins to move. And before the body has tasted anything at all, the soda has already started becoming something else. The first change begins before the soda reaches the mouth. It begins with a small sound. A finger slips under the metal tab. The tab lifts. The sealed opening breaks, and the can gives off a quick, bright hiss. That sound is easy to recognize, but it is also a small physics lesson happening in less than a second. Inside the closed can, carbon dioxide gas has been held under pressure. Carbon dioxide is the same gas people breathe out, the same gas made by yeast when bread rises, and the same gas that gives sparkling water and soda. They're bubbles. During manufacturing, this gas is pushed into the liquid. The can is sealed while the drink is still under pressure, so the gas stays dissolved in the water instead of escaping into the air. It is not just floating above the liquid. A large amount of it is actually mixed into the drink, hidden between the water molecules. As long as the can stays closed, the pressure inside helps keep the carbon dioxide in place. Then the tab opens. The pressure above the liquid suddenly drops. The gas no longer has the same reason to stay dissolved, so it begins to come out. That is the hiss. It is carbon dioxide moving from the liquid into the open air. A scientist would describe this with Henry's law. That simply means a liquid can hold more dissolved gas when there is more gas pressure above it. When the pressure is high, more gas stays in. When the pressure falls, gas escapes. Soda is built around that rule. The factory uses pressure to push carbon dioxide into the drink. The sealed can uses pressure to keep it there. And the moment the can opens, the pressure changes, and the drink begins slowly losing the thing that made it fizzy. This is why an open soda cannot stay the same forever. Even if no one drinks it, the carbon dioxide keeps leaving. After enough time, the sharp sparkle fades. The bubbles become fewer. The drink becomes flat. Temperature changes this process too. Cold water can hold more dissolved carbon dioxide than warm water. That is why a chilled soda usually feels brighter and crisper. It is also why a warm soda can seem dull, heavy, or strangely sweet. When the liquid warms, carbon dioxide escapes more easily. The balance begins to loosen. The can does not need to be open for very long before the drink starts changing. Some bubbles appear on the side of the can or glass. Some rise from the bottom. Some gather around tiny scratches, dust particles, or rough places on the surface. These starting points are called nucleation sites. A nucleation site is just a place where a bubble can begin. A perfectly smooth surface gives a bubble fewer places to form. A rough surface gives the gas little edges and pockets where it can gather. This is why bubbles often appear in steady streams from certain spots inside a glass. It is also why ice can make soda foam. The surface of an ice cube is not perfectly smooth. It has tiny cracks and ridges, and each one can help carbon dioxide gather into bubbles. When soda is shaken, the same basic thing happens in a more chaotic way. Tiny gas pockets spread through the liquid. When the container opens, the pressure drops around all of those tiny pockets at once. They expand quickly. They push liquid upward. The soda foams, rushes, and sometimes spills over the top. Nothing magical has been added. The same gas was already there. Shaking only gave it many more places to escape from. Even the shape of the container matters. A narrow bottle neck can guide foam upward. A wide glass can let bubbles spread out. A sealed aluminum can hold pressure quietly for months, while an open bottle slowly loses its fizz each time the cap comes off. The drink is always moving toward balance. The carbon dioxide wants to leave the liquid and spread into the air. The sealed container slows that movement. The cold temperature slows it too. But once the pressure is released, the soda has begun a one-way change. That first hiss is the sound of stored pressure becoming motion. It is the sound of gas leaving water. It is the sound of a quiet system opening. And as the bubbles rise, burst, and gather again, the drink prepares for the next change. The escaping gas does not only move through the air, it also waits on the tongue, where pressure and chemistry become a sharp, sparkling feeling. On the first sip, the bubbles stop being a physics event in the can and become a body sensation. They touch the tongue first, then the inside of the cheeks, then the roof of the mouth, where the surface is soft enough to notice tiny changes in pressure. A bubble can burst so quickly that it seems almost weightless. Yet each tiny pop presses against nerve endings, shifts the liquid around it, and releases a trace of carbon dioxide close to the surface of the mouth. That is why carbonation feels active. A still drink can be cold and sweet. A carbonated drink seems to move while it is being tasted. The mouth receives soda through several channels at once. Taste buds help detect sweetness, sourness, bitterness, saltiness, and savory flavor. Soda's sweetness belongs mostly to that taste system. The fizz reaches through another path. It has texture. It has pressure. It has a faint chemical sharpness that can feel clean, bright, or even slightly prickly. Carbon dioxide is doing more than forming bubbles. When carbon dioxide mixes with water, a small amount of it can become carbonic acid. Carbonic acid is a weak acid. It is far weaker than the hydrochloric acid already found in the stomach. Still, the lining of the mouth is sensitive. A weak acid can be noticeable there, especially when it arrives cold, moving, and surrounded by bursting bubbles. This is part of the reason plain sparkling water can feel sharp, even when it has no sugar at all. The sensation comes from the carbon dioxide system itself. The body detects that sharpness with help from the trigeminal nerve. This nerve is one of the major nerves of the head and face. It carries signals from the forehead, cheeks, jaw, teeth, tongue, and parts of the mouth. It helps the body notice pressure, tingling, irritation, heat, cooling, and sharp sensations. When spicy food burns, the trigeminal system is involved. When mint feels cool, the same broad system helps carry that feeling. When soda tingles, the mouth is using that nerve pathway to read carbon dioxide as something more physical than ordinary taste. The tongue may be detecting sugar. The trigeminal nerve is helping detect the bite. This is why carbonation can make the same drink feel different at different temperatures. Cold soda often feels tighter and cleaner. The bubbles seem sharper. The sweetness feels less heavy. Part of that comes from chemistry because cold liquid holds carbon dioxide better. Part also comes from sensation because cold surfaces in the mouth can make the fizz feel more precise. A warm soda loses that balance quickly. More gas escapes from the liquid before the sip begins. The remaining bubbles feel softer. The sweetness can seem thicker. The acid may feel less lively because the bright contrast has faded. Flat soda shows how much work carbonation was doing. The flavor may still be there. The sugar may still be there. The color and aroma may still be there. Yet the drink feels changed because the mouth has lost one of the signals that made the experience vivid. Without the bubbles rising and breaking, the tongue receives less motion. Without fresh carbon dioxide near the surface, the carbonic acid bite becomes weaker. Without that sharp edge, sweetness has less contrast around it. Carbonation also changes how aroma moves. Rising bubbles can help lift small scent molecules out of the drink. Those scent molecules can travel up through the back of the throat toward the nose while swallowing. That route is called retronasal smell, which simply means smell coming from behind the mouth instead of through the nostrils. Much of what people call flavor comes from this hidden path. A sip of soda is therefore built from taste, smell, touch, temperature, and mild chemical irritation arriving together. The body does not need to name these signals separately. It blends them into one familiar feeling. Cold fizz becomes brightness. A soft burn becomes refreshment. The pressure of bubbles becomes part of pleasure. Carbonation gives soda movement, and movement makes sweetness feel lighter than it would in a still syrup. That sharpness would be too bare by itself. The drink needs sweetness to round it, acid to focus it, aroma to fill it out, and flavor to turn the sparkling bite into something the body recognizes as pleasant. Sweetness arrives almost at the same moment as the fizz. The tongue reads it quickly, because sweet taste receptors sit inside tiny structures called taste buds. Those receptors are built to notice certain shapes of molecules, including sugars like glucose, fructose, and sucrose. In a regular soda, the sweetener is already dissolved through the whole drink. Every sip carries it evenly. That sweetness gives soda its soft center. But the drink would feel heavy if sweetness were working alone. Most sodas are also acidic. Many colas use phosphoric acid. Many lemon, lime, orange, grape, and fruit-flavored sodas use citric acid, the same main acid that gives lemons and limes their sharp taste. These acids lower the drink's pH, which is a scale used to describe how acidic or basic something is. Plain water sits near the middle of that scale. Soda usually sits much lower, in the acidic range. The exact number depends on the brand, the recipe, and the flavor. But the mouth can sense the effect before any number needs to be known. Acid brings brightness. A sweet drink with too little acid can taste thick, dull, or syrupy. A drink with too much acid can taste harsh. Soda works by placing those sensations close together. Sweetness softens sourness. Sourness keeps sweetness from feeling flat. A small amount of bitterness can also be hidden inside the larger balance, especially in cola. Caffeine has a bitter edge. Some plant oils and spice-like flavor compounds can have bitter notes too. Sugar helps cover those edges, while carbonation and acid keep the drink from seeming overly sweet. Cola is a good example because its flavor feels familiar, yet the formula is built from many small parts. A cola can contain citrus-like notes, often from oils related to orange, lemon, lime, or neroli. It can carry warm spice-like notes that remind people of cinnamon, nutmeg, coriander, or clove. Vanilla-like flavors can make the drink feel rounder. Phosphoric acid gives the sharp line beneath the sweetness. Caramel color gives the drink its dark brown look. That color matters before the first sip. The brain uses sight to prepare for flavor. A clear drink and a dark brown drink can carry different expectations even before they touch the tongue. Caramel color does more than tint the liquid. It tells the brain to expect cola, depth, sweetness, and a familiar roasted brown appearance. Flavor also rises through the nose. During swallowing, small scent molecules move from the back of the mouth up into the nasal passages. This is called retronasal smell. The word simply means smell coming from behind the mouth. People often think flavor happens mostly on the tongue, but much of flavor comes from smell. A blocked nose can make food taste muted because those aroma signals cannot travel as well. Soda depends on that hidden route. Bubbles help lift aroma molecules from the liquid. Cold temperature keeps the drink crisp, while still allowing enough scent to reach the nose. Acid sharpens the edge. Sweetness fills the center. Color prepares the brain. Texture keeps the sip moving. The result feels simple because the body blends these signals into one experience. A person usually does not taste phosphoric acid, citrus oil, caramel color, carbon dioxide, caffeine, and sugar as separate pieces. The mouth, nose, and brain combine them almost instantly. A sip becomes cola. Another becomes lemon lime. Another becomes orange soda from a glass bottle, or grape soda from a plastic one, or root beer poured over ice. Each flavor has its own balance of sweetness, acidity, aroma, color, and fizz. Even the ice in the cup can change the formula. As ice melts, it dilutes the syrup. As the drink warms, more carbon dioxide escapes. As the bubbles fade, the aroma lift weakens. The same drink gradually becomes softer and sweeter tasting as it sits. That slow change shows how carefully the original balance was held together. Soda feels effortless because the pieces arrive at the same time. The body receives a single familiar flavor. Then the swallow begins. The smooth taste disappears from the mouth, and the drink enters a place where flavor matters less than movement, gas, acid, and dissolved molecules. A small wave of muscle carries the sip away from the tongue. The soft palate lifts near the back of the mouth, helping close the path toward the nose. The voice box rises slightly. A flap of cartilage called the epiglottis helps guide the liquid away from the windpipe. The swallow feels quick because the body has practiced this motion thousands of times. For a healthy adult, a sip can pass from the mouth into the throat in less than a second. After that, the soda enters the esophagus, the muscular tube that connects the throat to the stomach. The esophagus is usually about 25 centimeters long in an adult. It does not rely only on gravity. Even lying down, the body can move a swallowed drink toward the stomach. It does this with peristalsis. Peristalsis means a coordinated wave of squeezing muscle. The muscles behind the liquid tighten. The muscles ahead of it relax. The sip is gently pushed downward, like a small ripple moving through a soft tube. At the bottom of the esophagus, the liquid reaches a ring of muscle called the lower esophageal sphincter. A sphincter is a circular muscle that opens and closes a passage. This one opens to let food and drink enter the stomach. Then it usually tightens again, helping keep stomach contents from moving back upward. The soda has now left the world of taste and entered the world of digestion. Inside the stomach, the drink meets a much stronger acid than the one it carried in the can. The stomach naturally makes hydrochloric acid. This acid helps unfold proteins in food, activates digestive enzymes, and makes the stomach a harsh place for many microbes. On the acid scale, stomach fluid can sit near 1 or 2. Many sodas are acidic too, often around the range of 2.5 to 4, depending on the recipe. That means soda has a real acid bite in the mouth, while the stomach is already built for a far stronger acid environment. The stomach lining protects itself with mucus and bicarbonate, a natural chemical buffer that helps shield the tissue from its own acid. The soda's acids now mix into a larger pool of stomach fluid. Its sweetness, color, and flavor no longer arrive as one smooth experience. The drink becomes liquid volume, dissolved sugar or sweetener, carbon dioxide, acids, caffeine in some kinds, and flavor compounds. The stomach does not taste them the way the mouth did. It stretches, it churns, it measures volume. It releases contents gradually. Carbon dioxide may also leave the soda inside the stomach. The body is warmer than a refrigerator. Pressure is different from the inside of a sealed can. The liquid is mixing with stomach contents instead of sitting quietly under a metal lid. Under these conditions, more gas can come out of solution. That gas may collect in the upper part of the stomach. A person might feel fullness, pressure, or a need to burp. A burp is simply gas moving back upward through the esophagus and out of the mouth. The lower esophageal sphincter relaxes briefly, and the trapped gas escapes. For many people, that is just a normal result of swallowing air or drinking something carbonated. For someone prone to reflux, pressure in the stomach can sometimes make symptoms more noticeable because stomach contents have a better chance of moving upward. The main event, though, continues downward. Liquids can begin leaving the stomach faster than many solid foods. A heavy meal with fat and protein may stay in the stomach longer, while a sweet liquid can move on more easily once it has mixed enough. This movement is called gastric emptying. Gastric means related to the stomach. Emptying means the stomach is sending part of its contents through the pylorus, the small muscular opening that leads into the first part of the small intestine. The pylorus does not release everything at once. It meters the mixture forward in small amounts. Each gentle release changes the soda's story again. The bubbles and pressure may have been the first things the stomach noticed. The dissolved sugar is now approaching the place where it can cross into the body's bloodstream. At the entrance to the small intestine, the drink enters a long folded place built for transfer. The small intestine is where most nutrient absorption happens. In an adult, it can measure around 6 meters from end to end, though it is packed into the belly in soft loops. Its inner surface is covered with tiny finger-like folds called villi. Each villus is lined with even smaller brush-like projections called microvilli. Together, these folds create a huge working surface, so digested molecules can move from the gut into the body. A regular soda reaches this place in a form that is easy to handle. The sugar has already been dissolved. The body does not need to chew it. The stomach does not need to grind it into smaller pieces. Plant cell walls do not need to be opened. Fiber does not need to be softened. A 12-ounce regular soda can carry about 10 teaspoons of sugar, giving the drink around 160 calories. Those calories are spread through the liquid as small molecules, ready to meet the lining of the intestine. The exact sugar depends on the soda and the country where it is made. Some sodas use sucrose, which is ordinary table sugar. Sucrose is made from two smaller sugars joined together. One part is glucose. The other part is fructose. Digestive enzymes break sucrose apart before absorption. Many soft drinks in the United States use high fructose corn syrup. That sweetener also gives the body glucose and fructose, though the balance is slightly different from table sugar depending on the formula. The important point inside the intestine is that both common sweeteners deliver small sugar molecules that can cross the gut lining. Glucose uses special transport proteins on the surface of intestinal cells. A transport protein works like a tiny gate in the cell wall. One important glucose gate pulls glucose inward along with sodium, a mineral the body also uses for nerve signals and fluid balance. After glucose enters the intestinal cell, it can move out the other side and into small blood vessels. Those blood vessels carry it toward the liver through a large vessel called the portal vein. The portal vein is a direct route from the intestine to the liver. Fructose uses a different doorway. It crosses the intestinal lining through its own transport system, then also travels through the portal vein. Once it reaches the liver, fructose is handled in a different way than glucose. The two sugars were swallowed in the same drink, passed through the same stomach, and entered the same small intestine. Inside the body, their paths begin to separate. This is why the phrase sugar rush can be a little too simple. The body is receiving a stream of molecules. Glucose is entering the blood and becoming part of blood sugar regulation. Fructose is moving toward liver processing. Water is being absorbed, acids are being diluted and buffered. Carbon dioxide is escaping or being carried away. The body is sorting the drink piece by piece. Liquid form changes the timing. A spoonful of sugar inside a drink has very little physical structure around it. A piece of fruit is different. An orange, an apple, or a handful of berries contains water too, but the sugars sit inside plant cells. Those cells are held in shape by cell walls. The fruit also contains fiber, which slows the movement of food through digestion and changes how quickly sugars become available. Chewing takes time. Swallowing happens in small portions. The stomach and intestine receive a mixture with texture, pulp, water, and plant material. Soda arrives more smoothly. It can be swallowed quickly. It has no intact fruit structure. Its sugar is already part of the liquid. That does not mean every sip creates the same response in every person. A person's body size, recent meal, activity level, insulin sensitivity, and the amount of soda all matter. A soda with food may move differently than soda on an empty stomach. A small serving creates a different load than a large bottle or repeated refills. Still, the basic movement stays clear. Dissolved sugar crosses the small intestine and enters circulation. Glucose reaches the blood, and blood glucose has to stay within a narrow working range. The body has a quiet system for answering that rise, and the signal comes from a small organ tucked behind the stomach. Behind the stomach sits the pancreas, a soft, narrow organ shaped a little like a flattened leaf. It stretches across the upper belly, with its wider end near the first bend of the small intestine, and its thinner end pointing toward the left side of the body. The pancreas has two kinds of work. Part of it makes digestive juices that flow into the small intestine. A much smaller part watches the blood. Scattered through the pancreas are tiny clusters of hormone-making cells called islets. The name comes from the idea of little islands. Inside those islets are beta cells, which release the hormone insulin when blood glucose rises. A hormone is a chemical message carried through the blood. Insulin's message is simple and important. Glucose is available. Cells can take it in, use it, or store it. After sugar from a regular soda crosses the lining of the small intestine, glucose travels through the portal vein toward the liver, and then into wider circulation. The blood carries it through vessels that branch again and again, from larger arteries down to tiny capillaries. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels. Their walls are thin enough for oxygen, nutrients, and chemical messages to move between the blood and nearby cells. The body keeps blood glucose within a narrow working range because every organ depends on stable chemistry. This balancing process is called homeostasis. Homeostasis means the body keeps internal conditions steady, the way body temperature, fluid levels, and blood chemistry are adjusted all day without needing attention. Insulin is part of that steady adjustment. When beta cells sense rising glucose, they release insulin into the blood. The hormone travels widely, reaching muscle, fat tissue, and the liver. In muscle cells, insulin helps open pathways that allow glucose to move from the blood into the cell. A muscle cell can burn glucose for energy, especially if the body has been moving, walking, lifting, or climbing stairs. Extra glucose can also be linked into a storage molecule called glycogen. Glycogen is made of many glucose units joined together, a bit like a branching chain. Muscles store glycogen for their own later use. A leg muscle can use its stored glycogen during a run, a long walk, or a hard climb. But it does not release that stored glucose back into the blood for the rest of the body. The liver handles glycogen differently. The liver can store glucose as glycogen after a meal or a sweet drink. Later, between meals or overnight, it can break some of that glycogen apart and help release glucose back into the bloodstream. This is one reason blood sugar does not simply drop every time a person goes several hours without eating. The liver acts like a quiet buffer for fuel. Fat tissue also responds to insulin. Its cells can take in glucose and use it as part of their own energy and storage processes. This does not mean insulin is a harmful signal. Insulin is necessary for life. Without enough working insulin, glucose can remain too high in the blood, while cells struggle to receive the fuel they need. The concern with a regular soda is usually about repeated patterns, serving size, and the rest of a person's diet and activity, rather than one isolated sip. A small can with a meal creates a different situation than several large sweet drinks spread across a day. A person who just exercised may handle glucose differently from a person who has been sitting for many hours. Sleep, stress, body size, muscle mass, genetics, and long-term health all influence the response. The pancreas keeps answering the moment in front of it. It does not judge the drink. It senses chemistry. It reads blood glucose and releases a measured signal. That signal helps move glucose out of the bloodstream and into tissues, where it can be used or stored. The process is quiet, fast, and deeply practiced. A sweet sip becomes a rising glucose. A rising glucose becomes a hormone message. A hormone message becomes movement into muscle, liver, and fat tissue. Yet the sugar from soda has another half to its story. Glucose has drawn the pancreas into action, while fructose is moving through the liver's own set of pathways. Fructose enters the liver through the portal vein, carried in the same flow of blood that brings nutrients from the intestine. The liver is large, warm, and busy. In an adult, it often weighs around 3 pounds. It sits mostly under the right side of the rib cage, where it receives blood, stores fuel, makes bile, builds proteins, and breaks down many substances before they travel farther through the body. A regular soda may bring fructose in 2 common forms. One form is sucrose, the ordinary table sugar, that comes from sugar cane or sugar beets. Sucrose is made from one glucose molecule joined to one fructose molecule. Digestive enzymes split that bond before absorption. A second form is high fructose corn syrup, which is common in many soft drinks in the United States. The version often used in soda contains a mixture close to 55% fructose and 45% glucose. By the time these sugars reach the liver, they are small enough to enter chemical pathways inside liver cells. Glucose has many possible destinations in the body. Muscle cells can use it. Fat cells can take it in. The liver can store it. Fructose is handled more heavily by the liver, so that organ has a larger share of the sorting work. A liver cell can turn some fructose into glucose. Some can become lactate, a small fuel-related molecule that can travel through the blood and be used by other tissues. Some can help refill glycogen, the branching storage form of glucose. When energy is already plentiful, some of the carbon from fructose can move toward triglyceride-related molecules. Triglycerides are a common form of fat in the body and in food. They are made from 3 fatty acid chains attached to a small backbone. Under certain conditions, the liver can also make new fat from extra carbohydrate. The technical name for that process is de novo lipogenesis. De novo means new. Lipogenesis means fat making. The phrase simply describes the body building new fat molecules from smaller fuel pieces when there is more incoming energy than the body needs right away. This process depends on the dose, the total diet, and the energy state of the person. A single small serving after a meal, a large bottle on an empty stomach, and several sweet drinks across a day create different situations. The liver responds to the full pattern. It reads what is arriving, what is already stored, and what the rest of the body is asking for. This is why fructose needs a careful explanation. Fructose appears naturally in fruit. An apple contains fructose, along with water, fiber, acids, minerals, aroma compounds, and a firm structure that has to be bitten and chewed. An orange holds its juice inside tiny pulp sacs. A strawberry carries its sugar in soft plant tissue, surrounded by seeds, fiber, and water. Those foods take time to eat. The stomach receives them with texture. The small intestine receives them with plant material still mixed into the meal. Soda delivers fructose in a different physical form. The sugar is already dissolved. There is no pulp to break apart. There are no fruit cell walls slowing the meal. The drink can move quickly, especially when it is consumed in a large serving or between meals. The same molecule can therefore arrive in very different settings. Fructose inside a whole peach reaches the liver as part of a slow, structured food. Fructose inside a cold soda reaches the liver as part of a sweet liquid that can be swallowed in minutes. That difference in form matters. The liver does not treat every arrival as a crisis. It handles incoming fuel all day after breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and drinks. Its work is steady and flexible. The larger concern with regular soda comes from repetition, serving size, and the way liquid sugar can slip into daily routines without much fullness. A can after a long walk, a bottle during a drive, a refill beside dinner, and a late-night soda at a desk all reach the same organ through the same portal vein. The liver sorts the molecules quietly. At the same time, the brain is sorting a different kind of message from the drink. Sweetness, fizz, caffeine, coldness, memory, and reward. The liver keeps working with molecules that have already entered the body. Meanwhile, the brain is receiving signals that began much earlier, back on the tongue. Sweet taste starts with receptor cells inside taste buds. A receptor is a small biological sensor. It changes shape or sends a signal when the right kind of molecule reaches it. Sweet receptors respond to molecules such as glucose, fructose, sucrose, and many sugar substitutes. When those receptors are activated, nerves carry the message inward. The signal travels from the mouth toward parts of the brain that help identify taste, judge reward, and connect the experience with memory. For much of human history, sweetness often pointed toward useful energy. Ripe fruit, honey, and some root foods carried sugars that could help fuel movement, growth, and repair. Soda uses that old sensory pathway in a very modern form. The sweetness arrives in liquid. The bubbles sharpen it. The cold temperature makes it feel clean and quick. The flavor gives it an identity the brain can recognize within a single sip. That recognition matters. The brain is built to learn from repeated experiences. A sweet, cold, fizzy drink beside a meal can become linked with the meal. A can opened during an afternoon break can become linked with that time of day. A paper cup from a movie theater can become linked with popcorn, dim lights, and the beginning of a film. The chemical often connected with this kind of learning is dopamine. Dopamine is sometimes described as a pleasure chemical, but that label is too small. It also helps the brain learn what is worth noticing, what might happen again, and what cues predict a reward. A cue is a signal that points to something else. The click of a can tab can become a cue. A red cooler near a checkout line can become a cue. A glowing vending machine in a hallway can become a cue. A fast food cup in the car's center console can become a cue. The brain can store these details together with taste. This is called conditioned learning. Conditioned means the body has learned to connect one signal with another through repetition. A person may not crave only the liquid. The routine around the liquid may matter too. A soda during a long drive can belong to the gas station stop, the cold bottle from the refrigerator case, and the first sip after getting back into the car. A soda at a sports game can belong to the stadium seat, the sound of the crowd, and the bright cup held under ice at a concession stand. At home, the cue may be quieter. It may be dinner on a certain night, a favorite glass, a meal from the same restaurant, or a plastic bottle opened while sitting at a desk. Branding strengthens this learning. Color is fast for the brain to recognize. A dark red label, a silver can, a green bottle, or an orange logo can prepare expectation before the drink is opened. Package shape matters too. Glass bottles feel different from aluminum cans. Fountain cups feel different from plastic bottles. The hand notices weight, texture, chill, and shape before the tongue receives flavor. Carbonation adds force to the memory. A flat, sweet drink gives the brain fewer bright signals. A cold carbonated drink has more contrast. The tongue senses sweetness. The mouth feels pressure and tingling. The nose receives rising aroma. The skin of the hand feels the cold container. Several sensory pathways arrive close together, making the moment easier to remember. This does not mean every soda habit is the same for every person. Some people drink soda rarely, with little attachment. Some connect it with lunch, work, travel, celebration, or comfort. Some prefer one exact brand, flavor, can size, or fountain mix because the learned pattern has become specific. The brain is not only reacting to sugar, it is reading a whole scene. For many colas and some other sodas, caffeine adds a deeper layer. The sweetness teaches the brain to notice the drink. The bubbles and cold make the signal vivid. Caffeine can make the body feel more awake for a while. That extra effect gives certain sodas a place in morning routines, afternoon slumps, long drives, and late study sessions. The drink can become tied to alertness as well as flavor. Once caffeine enters the story, soda begins touching one of the quietest systems in the body, the way tiredness is measured. Tiredness has chemistry behind it. During waking hours, brain cells use energy, send signals, repair small changes, and keep the body alert enough to move through the day. As that waking time stretches on, a molecule called adenosine gradually becomes more noticeable in the brain. Adenosine is one of the body's quiet timekeepers. It helps create sleep pressure, which means the growing pull towards sleep after many hours awake. The longer a person stays awake, the more strongly that pressure can be felt. Caffeine changes how that pressure is received. Many colas and some other sodas contain caffeine, though the amount is usually lower than in coffee. A 12-ounce cola may contain roughly 30 to 40 milligrams of caffeine, depending on the brand. An 8-ounce cup of brewed coffee often sits closer to 90 or 100 milligrams, though coffee can vary widely with bean, roast, and brewing method. A large fountain drink, several cans across a day, or a soda late in the evening can still matter because timing changes the effect. Caffeine has a shape that lets it fit into adenosine receptors. A receptor is a small receiving site on or inside a cell. When adenosine reaches its receptor, the brain can read part of the body's need for rest. When caffeine sits in that receptor, adenosine has a harder time sending the same message. The tiredness signal becomes quieter for a while. The body's fuel supply may be the same as before. The feeling of sleepiness can still move farther away. That is why caffeine can feel like energy. It changes the brain's reading of fatigue. The effect begins after caffeine is absorbed through the digestive tract and carried through the blood. Caffeine can cross into the brain because it is small enough and chemically suited to pass through the body's protective blood-brain barrier. That barrier is a filtering system around brain blood vessels. It helps decide which substances can move from the bloodstream into brain tissue. Once caffeine reaches the brain, it can begin occupying adenosine receptors in different regions involved in alertness, attention, and sleep pressure. The liver then begins breaking caffeine down. One important liver enzyme is called CYP1A2. An enzyme is a protein that helps chemical reactions happen. This enzyme changes caffeine into smaller compounds that can eventually leave the body through urine. The speed of that work varies from person to person. A useful idea here is half-life. Half-life means the time it takes for the body to reduce the amount of a substance by half. For caffeine, the half-life in many adults is often around several hours, but the range can be wide. A person who drinks a caffeinated soda at 4 in the afternoon may still have some caffeine active later in the evening. A person who is very sensitive may feel a small amount more strongly. A person who uses caffeine often may notice the same amount less. Genetics can change caffeine breakdown. Age can change it. Some medications can slow or speed caffeine clearance. Pregnancy can slow caffeine metabolism. Liver function matters too, because the liver does much of the chemical processing. Even daily habit matters, because regular caffeine users often adapt to some of its effects. This is why two people can drink the same cola and have different nights. One person may feel almost nothing. Another may feel alert later than expected. A third may notice a faster heartbeat or a restless feeling after only a modest amount. The Food and Drug Administration describes about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day as an amount that is generally not associated with dangerous negative effects for most adults. That statement still leaves room for real individual differences. A 12-ounce cola is usually far below that amount. Several caffeinated drinks, strong coffee, energy drinks, tea, chocolate, and certain medications can add together across the day. Caffeine-free colas also show that caffeine is only one possible layer. The cola flavor can remain. Caramel color, acid, sweetness, bubbles, and spice-like aroma. The alertness signal has simply been removed. For sleep, the most important detail is often the clock. Caffeine taken late in the day can overlap with the natural rise of sleep pressure at night. The drink may be finished quickly, while the molecule continues moving through blood, liver, and brain for hours. Even after caffeine has begun its quiet work inside the nervous system, soda has already touched another surface that keeps a record of repeated contact: the enamel of the teeth. The mouth keeps its own record of contact. Long after the flavor has faded, the teeth have already met the drink directly. Each tooth is covered by enamel, the hard outer layer that protects the softer material underneath. Enamel is the hardest tissue in the human body. Most of its strength comes from a mineral called hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite is made from calcium, phosphate, oxygen, and hydrogen arranged into tiny crystals. Those crystals give enamel its smooth, pale surface and its ability to handle years of chewing. A back molar can press food with hundreds of newtons of force during a strong bite. A newton is a measure of force, and even ordinary chewing can place real pressure on the teeth day after day. Enamel handles that pressure well because it is highly mineralized. By weight, mature enamel is mostly mineral, with only a small amount of water and organic material. Its strength gives the mouth a durable grinding surface. Its weakness comes from chemistry. Acid can slowly pull minerals out of enamel. This process is called demineralization. The word means minerals are being removed. When the mouth becomes acidic enough, some of the calcium and phosphate in enamel can begin to loosen from the crystal surface. This does not make a tooth change all at once. The change is usually microscopic at first. Repeated contact matters. A quick drink with a meal gives the mouth time to recover afterward. A soda sipped little by little over an hour keeps refreshing the acid on the tooth surface. That longer contact can matter more than the size of one sip. Many colas contain phosphoric acid. Many citrus, lemon lime, orange, and fruit-flavored sodas contain citric acid. Both can help give soda its bright taste. Citric acid has an extra chemical behavior that can matter for teeth. It can bind to calcium, which may make it harder for minerals to settle back into enamel right away. This is one reason some sour or citrus drinks can be especially challenging for tooth surfaces when consumed often. The mouth has a pH, which is a measure of acidity. Lower pH means more acidic. Enamel begins to lose mineral more easily when the environment around it becomes acidic enough, often discussed near a pH of about 5.5. Many sodas are below that level. The exact number depends on the formula, the flavor, and how the drink is measured. But the direction is clear. A soda can lower the pH around teeth for a short time. Regular soda adds a second pathway. Sugar in the drink can feed bacteria that live in dental plaque. Plaque is a sticky film that forms on teeth. It contains many kinds of bacteria, food traces, and substances made by the bacteria themselves. One well-known species involved in tooth decay is Streptococcus mutans. This bacterium can use sugar and produce acid as waste. That acid forms right where the plaque touches the tooth. So regular soda can challenge enamel in two ways. The acids in the drink touch the tooth directly. The sugar can also help certain mouth bacteria make more acid afterward. The body has a local defense system for this. Saliva is more than water. It carries bicarbonate, which helps buffer acid. A buffer is a substance that softens a chemical change, keeping acidity from shifting too far too quickly. Saliva also carries calcium and phosphate, the same kinds of minerals enamel needs. After an acidic drink, saliva gradually helps the mouth return toward its usual balance. It rinses, it dilutes. It brings minerals back to the surface. Enamel has no living cells inside it, so it does not repair itself the way skin can close over a scrape. Small mineral changes on the surface can be partly reversed when conditions improve, but deeper loss is harder to undo. That is why repeated exposure becomes important. A tooth does not remember one sip the way the brain remembers a flavor. It responds through its surface. Acid touches mineral. Mineral loosens. Saliva buffers the mouth and carries some of that balance back. This small pattern around the teeth echoes a larger pattern inside the body. Soda keeps meeting systems built to dilute, buffer, filter, and regulate what arrives. Saliva gives the mouth its first layer of chemical protection. It washes across enamel, thins out acids, and carries bicarbonate into the spaces between teeth and gums. That same idea continues deeper in the body, on a larger and more controlled scale. The body is full of liquids that must keep their chemistry within safe limits. Blood is especially guarded. Human blood usually stays near a pH between 7.35 and 7.45. That range is narrow. A change that looks small on the pH scale can mean a large chemical shift, because the scale is built in powers of 10. The body keeps that range steady all day through meals, drinks, breathing, exercise, sleep, and illness. An acidic soda can touch enamel directly. That direct contact matters because enamel is exposed on the surface. Blood is handled differently. By the time soda has been swallowed, mixed with stomach fluid, moved into the intestine, absorbed, and diluted through the bloodstream, it has passed through several layers of regulation. The stomach already contains hydrochloric acid, That natural acid can sit around a pH of 1 or 2. Many sodas are much less acidic than that, often somewhere around 2.5 to 4, depending on the drink. The stomach is built for acid. Its lining produces mucus and bicarbonate to help protect itself, and its contents are slowly released into the small intestine in controlled amounts. When material leaves the stomach, the body adds fluids from the pancreas, liver, and intestine. Pancreatic fluid is especially important because it contains bicarbonate. Bicarbonate helps neutralize acid as stomach contents enter the small intestine. Neutralize means to reduce acidity and move the mixture closer to a safer range for digestive enzymes and intestinal tissue. Inside the blood, bicarbonate becomes part of a larger buffer system. A buffer is a chemical system that resists sudden change. The bicarbonate system works with carbon dioxide, water, and hydrogen ions. Hydrogen ions are tiny charged particles that make a liquid more acidic when their level rises. The body can shift these chemicals back and forth, softening changes before they become too large. Breathing is tied into this system. Carbon dioxide is constantly made by cells as they use fuel. It travels in the blood, reaches the lungs, and leaves the body with each exhale. A person breathing faster can remove carbon dioxide more quickly. A person breathing slower removes it more gradually. The brain and lungs help adjust that rhythm, keeping carbon dioxide and acidity in balance. The kidneys work more slowly. They filter blood through tiny structures called nephrons. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons. These microscopic filters decide what stays in the blood and what moves into urine. For acid-base balance, the kidneys can save bicarbonate, make new bicarbonate, and send extra acid into urine. This work happens over hours rather than seconds. The lungs can change carbon dioxide levels quickly. The kidneys provide slower, steadier correction. Together, these systems keep blood chemistry protected from the ordinary swings of daily life. This is why soda's acidity has to be understood by location. On tooth enamel, the drink can make direct contact before it is swallowed. In the stomach, the drink enters an organ already designed for strong acid. In the bloodstream, the body's buffer systems, breathing, and kidneys keep pH inside a narrow range. The body is neither passive nor easily overwritten by one acidic drink. It is active every moment, adjusting fluids, moving gases, measuring minerals, and keeping its internal chemistry livable. That protection has limits, and repeated habits can still matter. Acid exposure can matter for teeth. Sugar patterns can matter for metabolism. Caffeine timing can matter for sleep. The wider body still shows a quiet kind of order. It dilutes what arrives. It buffers chemical shifts. It filters what needs to leave. The kidneys carry this work forward, deciding minute by minute how much water to keep, how concentrated urine should become, and which dissolved substances should be sent away. Each kidney is small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, but together they receive a large share of the blood leaving the heart. They sit near the back of the abdomen, one on each side of the spine, partly tucked under the lower ribs. A steady flow of blood enters them through the renal arteries. Inside, the blood passes through tiny filtering units called nephrons. Across a full day, the kidneys filter far more fluid than a person actually urinates, because most of the filtered water is taken back into the blood. That recovery is one reason the body can hold its fluid balance so carefully. After a soda has been swallowed, its water follows the same broad path as water from soup, fruit, tea, or a glass from the sink. Much of it is absorbed through the digestive tract and carried into the blood. From there, the kidneys help decide how much fluid to keep. A soda is mostly water by volume. That part is real. The water in the drink can contribute to the body's fluid supply. A person drinking a soda is still taking in liquid, and the digestive tract can absorb that liquid. The fuller story comes from everything dissolved in that water. Regular soda may carry sugar. Diet soda may carry low-calorie sweeteners. Cola may carry phosphoric acid. Fruit-flavored soda may carry citric acid. Many formulas contain flavor compounds, coloring, small amounts of sodium, and sometimes caffeine. The kidneys and the rest of the body receive the water along with those extra signals. Fluid balance is guided by several systems. One important chemical messenger is antidiuretic hormone. Its name sounds complicated, but its job is easy to picture. Diuretic means something that increases urine production. Antidiuretic hormone helps the body make less urine by telling the kidneys to save more water. When the body needs to conserve fluid, this hormone rises, and the kidneys return more water to the blood. When the body has plenty of fluid, the signal can fall, and urine can become more dilute. The brain helps manage this signal through an area called the hypothalamus, which watches blood concentration and helps regulate thirst. If blood becomes a little more concentrated, thirst can rise. If fluid levels are restored, that signal can settle. Caffeine adds a smaller complication. Caffeine can have a mild diuretic effect, especially in someone who does not use it often. It can make the kidneys release a bit more sodium and water for a time. In regular caffeine users, the body often adapts, so the effect may become weaker. This is why a caffeinated soda does not have a single simple meaning for hydration. A small cola for someone used to caffeine may act differently than several caffeinated drinks for someone who rarely has them. Serving size, time of day, recent meals, heat, exercise, and sweat all matter. A cold soda can also feel more thirst-quenching than plain water because it sends stronger sensory messages. Cold temperature touches temperature-sensitive nerves in the mouth and throat. Acid gives the sip a sharp edge. Sweetness activates taste receptors. Carbonation adds pressure and tingling through the trigeminal nerve. Together, those signals can create a strong feeling of refreshment before the body's fluid balance has fully changed. Thirst and refreshment are related, but they do not mean exactly the same thing. Thirst is a body signal tied to fluid needs: blood concentration, mouth dryness, salt levels, and brain monitoring. Refreshment is partly sensory. A drink can feel refreshing because it is cold, fizzy, sweet, sour, or familiar. Plain water may restore fluid with very little drama. Soda may feel vivid because it gives the mouth and brain more to notice. The body absorbs the water. It sorts the dissolved substances. It adjusts urine concentration. It responds to caffeine if caffeine is present. It also remembers the taste, texture, and coldness that made the drink feel satisfying. That balance gives soda a more accurate place in the story. It can contribute fluid. It also carries sugar or sweetener, acids, flavor, color, and sometimes caffeine. If the sugar is removed, the water, bubbles, acid, and sweetness can still remain. But the drink becomes a different kind of design, built around sweetness without the same dissolved fuel. In a diet soda, the fuel part of regular soda changes first. The drink can still be cold. The bubbles can still rise. The acid can still give the sip a sharp edge. The color can still prepare the brain for cola, lemon lime, orange, or root beer. Sweetness can stay almost completely intact, even when the usual sugar is gone. That is possible because the tongue is not measuring calories directly. Sweet taste receptors respond to the shape of molecules. A molecule only has to fit the receptor well enough to send a sweet signal. Sugar does this in one way. Non-sugar sweeteners do it in another. Aspartame is one of the clearest examples. It is about 200 times sweeter than table sugar. Because it tastes so intensely sweet, only a small amount is needed to sweeten a drink. A regular soda may need many grams of sugar spread through the liquid. A diet soda can use a much smaller amount of sweetener and still create a strong sweet taste. Aspartame is made from 2 amino acids joined together with a small chemical group attached. Amino acids are building blocks the body uses to make proteins. During digestion, aspartame is broken down into smaller parts, including phenylalanine and aspartic acid, along with a tiny amount of methanol. Phenylalanine matters for people with a rare inherited condition called phenylketonuria, often shortened to PKU. People with PKU have trouble processing phenylalanine, which is why foods and drinks with aspartame carry a warning for them. Other sweeteners use different chemistry. Sucralose is made from sucrose that has been chemically changed so the body absorbs very little of it. Acesulfame potassium, sometimes called ACE-K, is often blended with other sweeteners to smooth the taste. Each sweetener has its own structure, aftertaste, and behavior in the body. Drink makers often combine them because one sweetener alone may taste too thin, too sharp, or too lingering. A blend can come closer to the rounded sweetness of sugar. Diet soda therefore changes one major part of the drink while preserving much of the sensory pattern. The body receives fewer sugar calories from the drink. Blood glucose usually does not rise the same way it would from a regular soda with dissolved sugar. The pancreas may have a different job. The liver receives a different fuel load, yet the mouth still receives sweetness. The brain still receives flavor, fizz, color, coldness, and learned cues. This is why diet soda is a real chemical change, while still belonging to the same broader habit system. Aspartame also shows why food safety language has to be handled carefully. In 2023, aspartame was placed in a category called possibly carcinogenic to humans. Carcinogenic means able to contribute to cancer under some conditions. The word possibly matters. That category was based on limited evidence, and it describes a hazard. A hazard means something could cause harm in some situation. Risk means how likely that harm is at the amount people actually encounter. Those two ideas can sound similar, but they ask different questions. A sharp knife is a hazard because it can cut. The risk depends on how it is used, how often it is used, and what protections are in place. For aspartame, a separate international food additive review kept the acceptable daily intake at 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. A kilogram is about 2.2 pounds. That limit is based on body weight, so a larger adult and a smaller child would have different amounts. The number does not mean every person should try to reach it. It gives regulators a safety boundary for ordinary exposure. Diet soda can help some people reduce added sugar. It can also keep the taste for sweet drinks alive. Both details can be true in the same calm picture. A zero sugar label means the drink has changed in an important way. It also means the body still receives sweetness, acidity, carbonation, aroma, caffeine in some formulas, and all the cues that may come with a familiar can or bottle. Sweetness can be separated from sugar calories. The larger pattern still reaches into appetite, meals, habits, and expectation. The larger pattern becomes clearest when regular soda is placed beside solid food. A 12-ounce can of regular soda can carry about 160 calories, yet it may disappear in a few minutes. There is no cutting, chewing, or slow breaking apart. The drink slips between bites of food, through a straw at a restaurant table, from a bottle in a car cup holder, or from a paper cup beside a movie seat. Food usually asks more from the body before its energy arrives. A slice of pizza has bread, cheese, sauce, oil, and toppings that must be chewed and mixed with saliva. A burger has protein, fat, bread, and texture. A bowl of beans or fruit has plant fiber, which means tough carbohydrate structures the body cannot fully digest. Those physical details help shape satiety. Satiety means the feeling of fullness after eating. It is created by more than one signal. The mouth notices chewing. The stomach notices stretch. The small intestine notices nutrients arriving. Hormones move through the blood and tell the brain that food has been eaten. The whole system works over time, not in one instant. Chewing matters because it slows eating down. A person who chews a sandwich takes many small mouthfuls. Each mouthful has texture. The jaw moves. Saliva mixes with the food. The stomach receives a thicker, more complex mixture. That slower pace gives the body more time to send fullness signals. Liquid sugar moves differently. A sweet drink can add energy to a meal with very little extra work. The mouth tastes it, the throat swallows it, and the stomach receives it as fluid. A soda, beside fries or popcorn, may feel like part of the background of the meal rather than another food item. The body still receives the sugar. The appetite system may not register it with the same strength as a solid food containing fiber, protein, and a dense texture. Fiber is especially important for slowing a meal. In oats, apples, beans, lentils, oranges, and berries, fiber holds water and changes how food moves through the gut. Some fiber forms a soft gel. Some adds bulk. Some feeds bacteria in the large intestine. Because soda has no intact plant structure, it does not bring that slowing effect. Protein can also create longer fullness signals. Eggs, chicken, fish, yogurt, beans, and tofu all require more digestion than a sweet drink. Fat can slow stomach emptying too, especially when it arrives as part of a mixed meal. This is why a dinner plate can stay with the body longer than a drink with the same number of calories. A regular soda may be easy to add without removing much else. A person may still eat the burger, fries, pizza slice, taco, sandwich, or theater popcorn. The soda fits around the meal. Its sweetness can make salty food taste sharper. Its coldness can reset the mouth between bites. Its bubbles can make a heavy meal feel cleaner for a moment. Those sensory effects help it belong with foods that are rich, salty, or fried. Portion size changes the picture. A 12-ounce can is one familiar unit. A 20-ounce bottle holds more liquid and more sugar. A large fountain drink can be bigger still, especially when ice, refills, and meal deals are part of the setting. At a convenience store, a person may choose between bottles lined in bright rows. At a fast food counter, the cup may come automatically with the combo. At a movie theater, the drink may be sized for a 2-hour film, with a straw that makes slow sipping almost effortless. None of this needs shame or blame to make sense. The body is responding to signals. The environment is shaping habits. A liquid can carry energy while feeling light, quick, and refreshing. Regular soda becomes easy to overlook because it does not behave like a food that has to be cut, chewed, and slowly cleared from a plate. That ease did not happen by accident. The large bottle, the fountain cup, the vending machine, the chilled refrigerator case, and the refill station all came from a long history of turning carbonated drinks into portable, repeatable products. That portable drink has a surprisingly old path behind it. Long before soda came in aluminum cans, people were interested in naturally bubbling water from mineral springs. In places such as Spa in present-day Belgium, Selters in Germany, and Saratoga Springs in New York, spring water rose through rock carrying dissolved minerals and natural carbon dioxide. The bubbles made the water feel unusual. The minerals gave it a taste that seemed different from ordinary well water or river water. By the 1700s, European scientists and physicians were trying to understand gases, springs, and the strange liveliness of sparkling water. One important figure was Joseph Priestley, an English scientist and minister, born in 1733. Priestley studied gases at a time when chemistry was still learning how to name them. Near a brewery in Leeds, he became interested in the heavy gas produced during fermentation. Breweries made this gas constantly as yeast turned sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide. At the time, carbon dioxide was often called fixed air. The old name came from the idea that the gas had been fixed or held inside solid or liquid materials before being released. Priestley found that this gas could be mixed with water. In the 1770s, he described a way to make water sparkle by exposing it to fixed air. The result was an early form of artificial carbonated water. That step mattered because it showed that bubbling mineral water did not have to come only from a natural spring. A person could create the effect with equipment, gas, and pressure. During the late 18th and 19th centuries, carbonated water moved from experiment to business. People built devices to force carbon dioxide into water. Apothecaries and pharmacists began selling carbonated drinks at counters. A pharmacy at that time was not only a place for pills in bottles. It could also have glass jars, scales, syrups, extracts, tonics, and a soda fountain. At the fountain, carbonated water could be mixed with flavored syrups. Some syrups use fruit flavors. Others use roots, herbs, spices, or bitter plant extracts. Many early drinks were sold with a health image, even when the actual benefits were uncertain or overstated. The important technology was the same. Water could be carbonated, flavor could be added, the drink could be served cold and fresh from the counter. The next challenge was taking soda away from the counter. Bottling carbonated drinks was harder than bottling still liquids because trapped gas creates pressure. Weak bottles could break. Poor seals could leak. A drink that lost its carbon dioxide lost much of its appeal. Glass bottles became stronger over time, and better closures helped keep pressure inside. In 1892, William Painter patented the crown cork bottle cap, the crimped metal cap still associated with glass soda and beer bottles. That small invention helped sealed carbonated drinks travel more reliably. A fizzy drink no longer had to be made and served in the same place. Branding grew with the bottle. Coca-Cola was introduced in Atlanta in 1886. Pepsi-Cola developed in North Carolina in the 1890s. Names, labels, colors, and bottle shapes helped people recognize the same drink in different towns. A soda could become familiar even when the customer was far from the original fountain. During the 20th century, distribution became larger and colder. Refrigeration let stores keep bottles chilled. Vending machines made cold drinks available in factories, schools, offices, train stations, and gas stations. Aluminum cans became common later, offering a light container that could hold pressure and block light. Plastic bottles added resealable convenience, even though they can slowly lose carbonation over time. Each container changed how soda moved through daily life. Glass gave weight and shine. Cans stacked easily and cooled quickly. Plastic bottles fit car cup holders, lunch bags, and refrigerator doors. Soda became common because the whole system learned how to repeat itself. Carbon dioxide could be forced into water. Syrup could be measured. Bottles and cans could be sealed. Trucks could carry cases across long distances. Stores could keep them cold. A customer could open one far from the factory and still hear the same hiss. Once soda could be made again and again, the real goal became more precise, making the same feeling happen everywhere. A modern soda system is built around precision. Inside a bottling plant, the drink begins as parts that have to meet in the right order. Water is treated so its taste stays consistent. Minerals, chlorine, or other local differences can affect flavor, so the water may be filtered, softened, or adjusted before it becomes part of the drink. The flavor usually arrives as a concentrate. That concentrate may contain sweetener, acids, color, caffeine for certain drinks, and flavor compounds measured in carefully controlled amounts. A cola concentrate can look dark and syrupy before it ever meets carbonated water. A fruit soda concentrate may carry citric acid, bright color, and aroma compounds that remind the brain of orange, grape, lemon, lime, or cherry. The concentrate is mixed with water in a set ratio. At a fountain machine, the same idea happens in front of the customer. A box or bag of syrup sits inside the restaurant or behind the counter. A carbon dioxide cylinder supplies gas. Chilled water flows through the machine. When someone presses the lever for cola or root beer, syrup and carbonated water meet in the nozzle and pour into the cup together. If the ratio is off, the drink changes immediately. Too much syrup makes it heavy. Too much carbonated water makes it thin. Weak carbonation makes the flavor seem dull. Warm water makes the bubbles escape more easily. Drink makers use measurements to keep that balance steady. One important measurement is called Brix. Brix describes how much dissolved sugar is in a liquid. 1 degree Brix means about 1 gram of sucrose in 100 grams of liquid. In beverage work, Brix helps measure sweetness concentration, especially in regular sodas made with sugar or syrup. A technician can test a sample and see whether the drink is close to the target. The number matters because the tongue notices small changes. A drink that is slightly too sweet may seem sticky. A drink that is slightly too weak may seem watery, even if the flavor name on the label is the same. Carbonation has its own controls. The liquid must be cold enough to hold carbon dioxide well. Gas pressure must be high enough to dissolve the right amount. The container must be strong enough to keep pressure inside. A sealed can or bottle is holding a drink that wants to release gas into the air. The package slows that escape. Aluminum cans are useful because they are light, strong, and block light. Light can change certain flavors over time, especially in drinks with sensitive aroma compounds. A can also has very little empty space above the liquid, which helps protect the drink from oxygen. Glass bottles feel heavier and can hold carbonation well when the seal is tight. They also give soda a particular sound and feel that many people remember. Plastic bottles are convenient and resealable, but plastic is slightly permeable. Permeable means tiny amounts of gas can pass through it over time. Carbon dioxide can slowly leave a plastic bottle, especially during long storage or warm conditions. Oxygen can also move in slowly, which may affect flavor. That is one reason a soda from a fresh can can feel sharper than one from a plastic bottle that has been opened and closed several times. Fountain soda adds one more variable: ice. Ice makes the drink colder, which helps the carbonation feel crisp. As the ice melts, it adds water. That water dilutes the syrup, changes sweetness, and can soften acidity. The rough surface of ice also gives carbon dioxide places to form bubbles, so fresh soda poured over ice can foam quickly. A restaurant machine has to account for this. The syrup ratio, water temperature, gas pressure, and ice in the cup all shape the final taste. A cold can from a refrigerator, a glass bottle from a cooler, a plastic bottle from a gas station, and a fountain drink from a fast food counter all begin from the same basic idea. Each version controls pressure, sweetness, temperature, and packaging in a slightly different way. The goal is familiarity. A person can buy the same brand in Atlanta, Toronto, Los Angeles, or a small town beside the highway and expect the first sip to feel recognizable. That repeatable feeling becomes part of the product. The hiss, the cold surface, the level of sweetness, the edge of acid, and the lift of bubbles all return again and again. Once a drink can repeat itself that reliably, the brain can attach it to places, routines, and memories. A familiar sip can become tied to a room, a season, or a sound. The brain stores experience by linking details together. Taste can be stored with smell. Smell can be stored with place. A place can be stored with emotion. This kind of linking is called associative memory. Associative memory means one cue can bring back another, because the two were experienced together many times. A soda can become part of that system, because it has so many cues packed into one small object. There is the sound of the tab opening. There is the cold surface of the can. There is the first burst of carbon dioxide against the tongue. There is the sweetness, the acid, the aroma, and the color. Even after the liquid is gone, the brain can keep the pattern. Soda flavor depends strongly on smell, especially through the back of the throat. During swallowing, aroma molecules rise from the mouth into the nasal passages. That hidden path, called retronasal smell, can make a drink feel fuller than sweetness alone. Smell, is closely tied to memory because scent signals connect with brain areas involved in emotion and recall. This is why a certain cola, orange soda, root beer, or grape soda can seem to carry a place with it. The flavor may remind someone of a diner booth with red vinyl seats. It may bring back a paper cup from a baseball stadium. It may belong to a movie theater where soda and popcorn are paired through salt, butter aroma, ice, and a long dark room. A movie theater drink is not only a liquid in a cup, it is a routine. The cup fits into an armrest. The straw rests against the lid. The ice shifts during quiet parts of the film. The same flavor returns across many visits until the drink becomes part of what a movie feels like. Sports use soda in a similar way. A stadium cup can carry a team logo, a sponsor name, a bright color, and a familiar drink poured over ice. During a baseball game, the cup might sit beside a paper tray of nachos or a hot dog. During a basketball game, it may be held in a crowded row while the scoreboard glows overhead. The drink becomes attached to the larger scene. Lights, noise, food, waiting, cheering, and a shared afternoon or evening. Road trips create another kind of memory. A gas station refrigerator case might hum beside the snack aisle. Plastic bottles stand in rows behind a clear door. A cold bottle picked up during a long drive can become connected with highway exits, cup holders, paper bags, and the low sound of tires on pavement. The same thing can happen at home in a smaller way. A soda from the refrigerator after yard work. A glass bottle at a summer cookout. A can opened beside a birthday pizza. A fountain drink carried back to a desk during a work break. Memory does not need a dramatic event. Repetition is enough. Branding gives the brain even more to hold. Color is one of the fastest cues. A red label, blue can, green bottle, brown glass, orange logo, or silver dyed version can prepare expectation before the drink is opened. Package shape matters too. Some glass soda bottles have narrow necks and curved shoulders. An aluminum can has a smooth cylinder and a small tab. A 2-liter plastic bottle has a twist cap, a flexible wall, and a shape made for refrigerator doors. Holiday packaging can add another layer. A winter label, a limited flavor, or a seasonal design can connect the same drink to a particular time of year. Advertising often uses this memory system on purpose. A brand does not only sell sweetness and carbonation. It can sell summer, celebration, sport, friendship, nostalgia, or a quiet moment of pause. Nostalgia can even change expectation. When a person believes a drink belongs to a happy memory, the flavor may feel more satisfying before the taste is judged clearly. The brain is always blending what is sensed now with what has been learned before. At this point, soda has moved far beyond the liquid in the can. It has touched nerves in the mouth, sugar pathways in the intestine, hormone signals from the pancreas, liver chemistry, caffeine receptors, tooth enamel, kidney filtering, factory systems, and now memory. A private memory can feel small. Across millions of kitchens, cars, restaurants, schools, theaters, and stadiums, those small patterns become large enough to measure. A pattern becomes visible when it is repeated by enough people. One can opened at lunch is a small event. A bottle during a drive is a small event. A fountain drink beside dinner is a small event. Across a country, those quiet choices become data. Researchers can count them, compare them, and look for patterns that no single kitchen table could reveal. In national survey data from the United States, about 63% of adults reported drinking a sugar-sweetened beverage at least once per day. That category includes regular soda, fruit drinks with added sugar, sports drinks, energy drinks, and sweetened coffee or tea. Regular soda by itself was reported at least once per day by about 19.5% of adults in combined data from 2010 and 2015. Those numbers make soda large enough to study as part of everyday life. A public health question works at a different scale from a body question. Inside one body, a drink becomes sugar absorption, insulin release, liver processing, tooth exposure, kidney filtering, and caffeine response. Across millions of bodies, researchers look for long-term patterns. They may ask how often people drink sweetened beverages. They may compare added sugar intake. They may track dental health, body weight trends, type 2 diabetes risk, heart disease risk, or differences between age groups, income levels, neighborhoods, and regions. The goal is not to make one sip sound dramatic. Population research usually cares about repeated exposure. A habit done every day for years creates more signal than one drink on one afternoon. Sugar-sweetened beverages are important in this kind of research because they can be a major source of added sugar. Added sugar means sugar put into a food or drink during processing, preparation, or serving. It differs from sugar held naturally inside whole foods, such as apples, oranges, carrots, or milk. A soda can deliver added sugar quickly, without fiber, chewing, or much fullness. When many people drink it often, that pattern can become visible in health statistics. The science still has to be careful. Many soda studies are observational. An observational study means researchers watch what people already do. They may collect diet surveys, medical records, weight measurements, blood tests, or long-term health outcomes. They do not assign one group to drink soda for years and another group to avoid it in a perfectly controlled way. Observational studies can reveal useful patterns, especially when they include thousands or even millions of people. They also have limits. People who drink more soda may differ in other ways. They may have different diets, sleep schedules, stress levels, jobs, activity patterns, access to medical care, or neighborhood food options. A controlled trial works differently. In a controlled trial, researchers assign people to a condition more directly. For example, one group might receive a certain type of drink, while another group receives a comparison drink. That can make cause and effect easier to study, though trials are often shorter and smaller than population surveys. Both types of research matter. One gives scale. The other gives tighter control. This is where correlation and causation need plain language. Correlation means two things happen together in a pattern. Causation means one thing helps produce the other. If higher soda intake is linked with a health outcome, researchers still have to ask whether soda is part of the cause, whether other habits are involved, and how strong the evidence is. The built environment adds another layer. Built environment means the stores, roads, prices, advertisements, schools, restaurants, vending machines, and neighborhood choices that surround daily life. A person living near several corner stores may see sweet drinks at every checkout. A school or workplace with vending machines creates a different setting from one with easy water stations. A fast food combo can make soda the default drink. A low price on a large bottle can make a bigger serving feel normal. Marketing can place certain drinks near sports, music, gaming, holidays, or family meals. These surroundings help shape behavior before a person has made a fully conscious choice. Health disparities can grow from those surroundings. Disparities are differences between groups that are shaped by access, income, geography, history, and opportunity. Soda becomes part of a larger system of price, habit, taste, stress, time, and availability. At that scale, the drink is no longer only inside the body. It is also inside streets, stores, schools, advertisements, and daily routines. Once a pattern can be measured that widely, cities and countries begin testing whether the environment around the drink can be changed. Changing the environment around soda begins with a simple idea. Daily habits are shaped by what is easy, cheap, visible, familiar, and already offered. A person can know that water is available and still choose the drink placed closest to the checkout. A student can understand sugar and still see a vending machine every afternoon. A family can plan dinner and still receive a large fountain drink as part of a discounted meal. Public health policy often works in those small spaces between knowledge and routine. One approach is the soda tax. A soda tax is usually designed as a price signal. The drink remains available, but its price rises slightly to reflect the health concerns tied to frequent sugar-sweetened beverage consumption. In Berkeley, California, voters approved a sugar-sweetened beverage tax in 2014. It was the first tax of its kind passed by a city in the United States. The tax was 1 cent per ounce. That means a 12-ounce drink carried 12 cents of tax before it reached the customer through the larger pricing system. A 1-liter bottle carried more because the tax followed volume. The goal was to make large amounts of sugary drink a little less automatic. Mexico began a national sugar-sweetened beverage tax in January of 2014. The tax was 1 peso per liter. That case mattered because it was not only one city. It covered a whole country where soda consumption had become high enough to attract national attention. Researchers later studied buying patterns to see whether purchases changed after the tax. The work was complicated because people could change brands, package sizes, stores, or drink categories. Still, Mexico became one of the major examples in the global conversation about sweetened beverage policy. Other places followed with their own versions. Philadelphia approved a beverage tax that began in 2017. Seattle's tax began in 2018. Each city had its own design, political debate, and use for the revenue. Some connected the money to education, community programs, or health efforts. The details varied, but the basic tool was similar. Price became part of the environment. Taxes are only one method. Some schools changed vending machines or removed certain sugary drinks from student spaces. That matters because school is a place where habits can repeat for years. A drink seen every day in a hallway becomes normal in a different way from a drink seen once a month at a party. Some governments and health agencies have considered warning labels. A label tries to make the health information visible at the moment of choice, directly on the bottle, can, shelf, or advertisement. The idea is similar to nutrition labels, but more direct. A person does not need to search for the sugar line on the back of the package. The message moves closer to the front of the decision. Companies have also changed products from the inside. Some drinks have been reformulated with less sugar. Some are sold in smaller cans, such as 7.5-ounce mini cans. Some brands now place zero sugar versions beside the original version, using similar colors, logos, and flavor names. That can make the lower sugar choice feel less like leaving the brand behind. Package size is part of the signal. A smaller can changes the default amount. A large bottle changes the default amount too. A fountain cup with free refills changes the meaning of one purchase. The body sees volume and chemistry. The customer sees price, convenience, habit, and the cup that was handed over the counter. Changing defaults can be difficult because people do not always move in a straight line from one option to the healthiest possible replacement. A tax on regular soda may lead someone to choose water. It may lead someone else to choose diet soda. Another person may switch to juice, a sports drink, an energy drink, sweet tea, or a large flavored coffee. Some of those choices may reduce added sugar. Some may keep it almost the same. Substitution is the name for this movement from one product to another. It is one reason public health changes have to be studied carefully after they begin. The goal is not only to reduce one label on a shelf. The goal is to understand how real people move through real stores, schools, restaurants, stadiums, and homes. Soda policy shows that a drink can belong to chemistry and culture at the same time. It can move through the intestine as glucose and fructose. It can move through a city as bottles, cups, prices, signs, and habits. Even while governments and schools try to reshape the setting around sweet drinks, the beverage industry keeps redesigning the drink itself. Inside that redesign, soda keeps its familiar shape while the formula keeps changing. The older model was easy to recognize. Carbonated water, sugar, acid, flavor, color, a sealed bottle or can. Modern shelves carry many versions of that same idea. There are zero sugar colas beside regular colas. There are mini cans that hold 7.5 ounces instead of the familiar 12-ounce size. There are caffeine-free versions, extra caffeine versions, fruit-flavored sparkling drinks, energy-style hybrids, and sodas that describe themselves with words like prebiotic, probiotic, botanical, natural, or functional. Functional means the drink is being sold with a purpose beyond taste, such as energy, digestion, hydration, or gut health. The basic sensory template remains recognizable. Cold liquid still carries bubbles. Acid still gives brightness. Sweetness still helps round the flavor. Aroma still rises through the back of the throat. The newer work happens in the details. Zero sugar sodas depend on sweetener blends. One sweetener may taste strong at first and fade quickly. Another may linger. A third may help cover bitterness or sharpen the sweetness near the beginning of the sip. Drink makers combine sweeteners such as aspartame, sucralose, acesulfame potassium, stevia compounds, or newer options because the tongue notices timing as well as sweetness. Sugar has body. It gives a drink a certain thickness and rounded feel. When sugar is removed, the flavor system often needs help from acids, aroma compounds, gums, salts, or blended sweeteners to feel complete. This is one reason zero sugar soda is a chemistry challenge, even when the label sounds simple. A newer branch of soda uses fiber as part of the appeal. Some prebiotic sodas contain soluble fibers such as inulin. Soluble fiber means fiber that can dissolve or swell in water. Inulin occurs naturally in plants such as chicory root, Jerusalem artichoke, onions, garlic, and asparagus. The human small intestine does not fully digest it. Farther down, in the large intestine, certain gut microbes can use it as food. A prebiotic is a substance that feeds beneficial microbes. The gut microbiome is the community of bacteria, fungi, and other tiny organisms living in the digestive tract. These microbes help break down some fibers, produce small molecules called short-chain fatty acids, and interact with the immune system and intestinal lining. That does not make every gut health soda equally proven. A real fiber ingredient can be present in the can. The larger promise on the label may depend on dose, serving pattern, the rest of the diet, and the person drinking it. A few grams of inulin in a soda can be biologically meaningful for some people. It can also cause gas or bloating in others, because microbes produce gas as they ferment fiber. The ingredient is real. The full effect is more personal and more complex. Flavor language is changing too. Natural flavors can sound simple, but the phrase still refers to complex mixtures of aroma chemicals. A natural orange flavor may include many separate molecules that help suggest peel, juice, sweetness, freshness, and bitterness. A vanilla-like note may come from a specific aromatic compound. A berry flavor may be built from several scent molecules that the brain reads together as fruit. Natural does not mean the flavor is a single crushed ingredient. It means the source and rules for the flavoring fit a certain legal category. Caffeine is also being redesigned. Some sodas remove it completely. Some keep a modest cola-like amount. Energy-style drinks may carry much more, sometimes combined with ingredients such as taurine, B vitamins, or plant extracts. A caffeine-free cola and a high-caffeine sparkling drink can sit in the same cooler, even though they may affect the nervous system very differently. Packaging keeps changing beside the formula. Aluminum cans are light, stackable, and widely recyclable when collected and processed well. Plastic bottles are resealable and light to transport, but they can contribute to plastic waste and slowly lose carbon dioxide over time. Glass bottles can protect flavor and carbonation well, though they are heavier to ship. Water use, factory energy, trucking distance, refrigeration, recycling systems, and litter all become part of the drink's wider footprint. Soda keeps adapting because the desire underneath it has stayed steady. People still like coldness, fizz, sweetness, flavor, and the small ceremony of opening a sealed drink. After all the reformulations, new labels, smaller cans, sweetener blends, fibers, caffeine levels, and packaging changes, the object remains easy to recognize. A hand reaches for a chilled container. A seal waits under pressure. Bubbles are ready to rise. The body is ready to answer. A chilled can feels simple again when it rests in the hand. The metal is smooth. The surface may be cold enough to gather a faint skin of water from the air. Inside, carbon dioxide is still held under pressure, waiting in the liquid until the tab breaks the seal. That small object now carries more than a flavor. It carries a chain of causes. Pressure holds gas in water. Opening the can lets that gas escape. Cold temperature helps the liquid keep its fizz a little longer. Tiny rough spots on ice or glass give bubbles a place to begin. A sip brings those bubbles into the mouth, where carbon dioxide can form weak carbonic acid. The tongue reads sweetness and sourness. The trigeminal nerve carries the sharper feelings of pressure, tingling, cooling, and bite. Aroma rises through the back of the throat toward the nose. Color prepares expectation before the first swallow. A cola's dark brown surface, a lemon-lime soda's pale clarity, or an orange soda's bright color gives the brain a clue before taste begins. The drink then leaves the mouth and moves through the throat by peristalsis, the quiet wave of muscle that carries food and liquid through the esophagus. It enters the stomach, where hydrochloric acid is already far stronger than the acid in the soda. Carbon dioxide can leave the warmer liquid and collect as gas. The stomach releases the mixture gradually through the pylorus into the small intestine, where folded surfaces, villi, and tiny microvilli make absorption possible. In regular soda, sugar arrives already dissolved. Sucrose and high fructose corn syrup both bring glucose and fructose. Glucose crosses the intestinal lining and becomes part of blood sugar regulation. The pancreas senses that change through beta cells in its small hormone-making islets. Insulin moves through the blood as a message, helping tissues take in glucose, use it, or store it as glycogen. Fructose travels heavily through the liver's own pathways. Some can become glucose, some can become lactate. Some can help refill glycogen. Under certain conditions, extra fuel can move toward triglyceride-related molecules. The same sip also reaches the brain as signal and memory. Sweet taste receptors detect sweet molecules. Dopamine helps the brain learn which cues predict reward. The click of a tab, the shape of a bottle, the color of a label, the glow of a vending machine, or the paper cup beside movie popcorn can all become part of the drink before the liquid touches the tongue. Caffeine, when present, adds another layer. It fits into adenosine receptors and makes tiredness feel farther away for a while. The liver breaks it down over hours, so the timing of a caffeinated soda can matter long after the cup is empty. The teeth meet the drink more directly. Enamel, built mostly from hydroxyapatite, is strong enough for years of chewing, yet acid can pull minerals from its surface. Phosphoric acid in many colas and citric acid in many fruit sodas help create brightness. Sugar can feed bacteria in plaque, including Streptococcus mutans, which can produce acid as waste. Saliva answers with rinsing bicarbonate, calcium, and phosphate. The body repeats that kind of balancing everywhere. Blood pH stays in a narrow range around 7.35 to 7.45. Bicarbonate buffers chemical shifts. The lungs remove carbon dioxide through breathing. The kidneys filter blood through nephrons and adjust water, salts, acid, and urine concentration. Soda also belongs to a longer human system. Joseph Priestley's experiments with fixed air in the 1770s helped show that carbon dioxide could be worked into water. 19th century pharmacy fountains mixed carbonated water with flavored syrups. Glass bottles, crown caps, refrigeration, vending machines, aluminum cans, plastic bottles, fountain machines, bricks measurements, and syrup ratios turn the drink into something repeatable. Coca-Cola appeared in Atlanta in 1886. Pepsi-Cola developed in North Carolina in the 1890s. Later came mini cans, zero-sugar versions, sweetener blends, prebiotic claims, caffeine-free formulas, higher caffeine hybrids, and new packaging choices. A single soda can be an ordinary part of a meal, a memory, or a warm afternoon. Repeated patterns, large servings, late timing, and daily habits give the drink more weight inside the body and across whole populations. The can itself has not changed. The hiss is still soft. The bubbles still rise. The sweetness still arrives quickly. Yet the familiar object has become clearer. Inside one quiet drink, pressure meets chemistry. Chemistry meets nerves. Nerves meet memory. And memory meets the wider world that made the can easy to find, easy to open, and easy to recognize.